Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Dario Dumade, and I am founder and CEO at Checkit Technologies. I will be anchoring the program today. It's just a couple of housekeeping rules as we start off. Please keep your mic on mute as you join the meeting, and also, you can turn on your camera, right? So we can see your beautiful faces. So I'm going to start off by sharing my screen real quick. Go. Great. So yes, it's great to be here. We're going to go through this in a nice and soft way. But just before we start off, just to get everyone warmed into this program today. Again, the topic for today's webinar, it's going to be traceability and serialization in pharmaceuticals. And this is one of the Checkit's web seminar series. This is called the Tech Meets Medicine webinar. And we're going to have a couple more webinars like this going forward. But as we start off, we are going to, first of all, start off with just sort of warming up the house with a bit more information about Checkit Technologies, what we do at Checkit. And then from there, we go into introducing the panels and then into the program proper. It's going to be a very conversational session. So, we are not going to bore you with so many presentations, but it's going to be more of sharing knowledge, insights about the pharmaceutical industry and how tech is a major enabler in the pharmaceutical ecosystem. So let's start off with this video.
If you want to save money, save your life, stay healthy, I suggest you check it. Check it. Whether the food or medicine, style or cosmetics, make you go for if you don't aspire, check it out. Or if you know the standard, check it out. You make a check it out. There is a report and we make a daddy go. Check it out. I'm on top your phone. Check it out. You make a check it out. There is a report and before you get to the goal, buy electronics. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Say no to fake, expired, and substandard products. Protect yourself with Checkit app and win exciting rewards.
Great. So glad to see that. We all have, a bit more understanding of what Checkit is now. Let me go back to sharing my screen. So please mute yourself as you enter into the meeting. Welcome. Again, my name is Dario Dumade. I'm founder and CEO at Checkit Technologies. And we're going to get to the part later on in the webinar where we're going to be able to ask you to also unmute your mic to ask questions or be a part of the conversation. And again, feel free to turn on your videos so we can see your lovely faces as well. So majorly the panel session today will be based on traceability in developing economies. Why are we doing traceability in developing economies? Or even, as a matter of fact, what exactly is traceability? What exactly do we mean by track and trace in the pharmaceutical ecosystem? And we have a very well-rounded panelists who are going to be part of the program today. We're going to be sharing with us today knowledge, insights about traceability, and also how technology can help enhance this process in the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large. So I'm going to start off with our first panelist in person of Mr. Kola Owojuola. Welcome, Mr. Kola. Mr. Kola is the Managing Director at Mega Healthcare Distribution Centers, PLC. With over 12 years of experience in the pharmaceutical business industry in Nigeria and other Anglophone countries. He has spearheaded year-on-year double-digit growth across the respiratory, and cardiovascular, urology, and oncology anti-infective, tropical, and vaccines categories of pharmaceutical. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Kola Ujola. Great to have you. Awesome. So next person I'm going to also introduce is Mrs. Christine Oyewo, who works with GS1. She's the healthcare lead at GS1 Nigeria. She has developed and implemented pilots, including a public sector COVID vaccine traceability pilot in conjunction with NAFDAC and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Nigeria. She is coordinating other healthcare traceability pilots in the private sector supply chain and is currently the healthcare lead at GS1 Nigeria. Welcome, Madam Christine. Thank you very much for joining us today as well.
Thank you too.
Great, great. Great to have you. So next speaker I'm going to be introducing is by person of Mr. Pastor Adesami Pokuola. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Pleasure to have you. Pastor Ade is an astute pharmacist and businessman. He's the group managing director at Reels Group, comprising Reels Pharmaceuticals, Reels Specialist, and Reels Confectionery. With over 27 years of experience, he was former national chairman, Nigerian Association of Industrial Pharmacists, and former chairman of board of Fellows, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Thank you very much for joining us, Pastor Ade. Pleasure to have you. Please unmute your mics, as I'm going to be, asking questions to start with, just to sort of get a sense of traceability or track and trace in the industry. Let us also educate some of our participants today about the about the industry, or exactly what exactly track and trace is. So without further ado, I'd like to start off with Mrs. or Madam Christine. Tell us a bit, ladies first anyway. Tell us a bit about track and trace. What exactly do we mean when we say traceability, track and trace in the pharmaceutical space?
Okay, thank you very much, Dari. Now, track and trace is actually, or traceability is actually a process in which you are able to track the movement of products from the point of manufacturer to the point of dispense at all levels through the extended supply chain. So what traceability does is that at the beginning of the supply chain, which is actually in the manufacturing plant, this product, when the product comes into existence, the product is commissioned and an event is created. This event is actually sent to a repository, which may be either a national repository that is held by the regulator, or a repository that might, for instance, like it happens in some places in other parts of the world, is maybe held by an industrial association. So when a product is commissioned at the manufacturing plant, in that manufacturing plant, what you see happening is that an event is created which shows that this product has come into existence. And what happens thereafter is that the product is then packed. It is packed into cartons. It is packed into the cartons are packed into pallets. And after this, when this is done, we also create what we call an aggregation event. And when the products are shipped from the manufacturer's plant, this shipping event is also an event that is captured and is also deposited in an event repository. So as products move from the manufacturer to the wholesaler, from the wholesaler to the retailer, or from the retailer to the point of dispense where the medicine is being dispensed to a patient, all these events are captured and they are deposited in a repository. So what traceability does do is that it actually aims to uniquely identify every single pack of a product in that we give the product a what we call an SKU identifier. We call this a global trade item number, and we actually put what we call a unique serial number on each product pack within a batch. So what you see happening is that a product will have a global trade item number which identifies the SKU. It will have a serial number which uniquely identifies that product pack within that batch, and you will also have the expiry date and the batch number of that product. This information is encoded into what we call a 2D data matrix barcode, and also it is provided in human readable interpretation beside it. So this is how we're able to uniquely identify products through scanning as they move through the supply chain. So this is just the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very extensive explanation, Madam Christine. I think that gives us a lot of insights. And with that knowledge, right, it will also be interesting to further know, Madam Christine, I'm still going to stay with you a bit, just to know, in terms of traceability or track and trace in Nigeria, we are aware that NAFDAC is implementing track and trace in Nigeria and wants to make it a standard for pharmaceuticals in the space. But tell us a bit, and we know that NAFDAC is working very closely with Gs1 as the implementation partner for this. Tell us a bit more about what is the timeline for this track and trace to then be implemented nationwide.
Well, usually I can't speak for NAFDAC, but we've actually begun the process of implementing traceability since 2020. Usually it happened with of course, with the development of a national traceability strategy, which was launched by the Honorable Minister of Health in October 2020. At the same time, we set up a national traceability steering committee. This steering committee composes of all the industry associations in Nigeria, including PMG-MAN, NARAFARM, APIN, NAIP, ACPN, and the like. Also, Ministry of Health, developmental partners, and donor agencies. So these stakeholders have actually been part of the traceability journey from the very beginning. What we do expect in Nigeria is that when the regulation comes out, we actually expect a regulatory draft to come out sometime this year, and that actually spearhead for when traceability should be implemented. In our initial, plan, we expect to have traceability implemented in Nigeria by the end of the year 2024. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
Great, awesome. Thanks a lot for that timeline explanation as well. Yes, that gives us a lot more information, especially those of us in the room that are either pharma manufacturers or distributors. We already have a sense of the timeline and what the implementation strategy is looking like. Thank you very much, Madam Christine. So I'll move on to Mr. Kola. Mr. Kola, please tell us, in terms of your business in the pharmaceutical space, what would you say is the biggest bottleneck in securing your distribution of pharmaceuticals in the country today?
All right, thank you. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. So I would like to go to the root of the matter, and I want to appreciate what the previous speakers commented on. I think these are the best days in pharmaceuticals in Nigeria, because we are finally joining the rest of the world. About 80% of the countries in the world have adopted the serialization, and so it started with Turkey in 2009. Other countries have been able to, get on serialization, and I'm happy that NAFDAC has, come out with a document. We have a deadline of 2024, which is very fantastic. So back to your question, I think we need to go to the root of the matter, which is who is at the receiving end of the supply chain. Why does, everybody in the pharmaceutical sector, why do they go to work every day? Why do I, dress up, go to the office? Why does Pastor Pukwala run a very big manufacturing plant? We are all focusing on just one person, who is a patient. Statistics shows that in developed in developing countries, 200,000 children die every year as a result of the scourge of substandard and fake medications. And what that means is that if you look at the records we have right now, we know that the data now is talking about 16% of products in Nigeria are either substandard or fake. What that means is 1 out of every 10, or rather 2 out of every 10 probably, of the medications that are flowing through the supply chain, are not, you can't guarantee them. And as far as you can't guarantee one, you can't guarantee anything. And so that's why NAFDA stands as the gateway to make sure that serialization works, so that everything that is coming in will be traceable. So I would say traceability is the biggest issue. What we do in our company is to aggregate products, and that is in line with the best practice that you see in America. Only 3 distributors in America, as big as America is, trillions and trillions of dollars of pharmaceuticals go through the supply chain, but only 3. So the wisdom is to make sure that you don't allow too many people in the system of taking products from the source and taking it down to the roots. Now, there's no way you're not going to have sub distributors, but the moment you narrow the chain, you are able to guarantee that anybody that gets into the system that is prescribed by the government, and I'm happy also that Nigeria now has a national drug distribution guideline that says that there will be the mega distributors who will give it to the pharmacies will pass it on, and so there are just 4 lines, 4 chains now that the government has. Well, unfortunately, that is not really happening right now. So traceability is a problem, and as long as that NDDG, the National Drug distribution guideline, is not working, you have somebody in the open market selling products. You don't know where that product is coming from. You even have established, manufacturers, even like the kinds of Reels, GlaxoSmithKline, and everybody. The moment those products enter those facilities, nobody knows where they will get to in 24 hours. That's the truth. So traceability is a problem because we cannot guarantee that the anti-malaria that a child is taking is genuine. And what that means is if we keep on reporting that so many number of deaths of malaria are happening in Nigeria, we really do not know what the cause is. We might think it's more mosquitoes, might not be more mosquitoes, might just be that there is a particular batch in Nigeria that nobody knows how it's been counterfeited, and all the hard work that Rails is doing, that all the big manufacturing plants are going through, will amount to nothing. So it's a chain, and you and I know that the moment you cut just one piece, just one part, the weakest link of a chain, everything is cut. So we must endeavor to make sure that everything that comes into the system is traceable. So traceability is the biggest problem. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you also very much, Mr. Kola, for that extensive explanation as well, particularly even making reference to when traceability started outside of Nigeria, outside of Africa. Yes, and it's great to also know that GS1 is really becoming far more of a global standard, to be more of a global policeman around traceability, with presence in over 150 countries globally. And that's amazing, right? It's amazing that the entire world can follow one structure, one formatting, and it makes it secure for distribution, which is really amazing. And it's great to see that Nigeria is also beginning to acclimatize into this new reality of making sure that and ensuring that all pharmaceutical products in Nigeria are also serialized. So thank you very much, sir. Let me move on quickly to Pastor Ade. So sir, being a pharmaceutical manufacturer in Nigeria, right? Tell us, how ready are you to adopt traceability as a standard? And also, how do you plan to sort of communicate the importance, relevance of traceability to your consumers? Sir, I think you are on mute. Let me unmute you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, colleagues and panelists on this webinar. I would like to thank you for inviting me to share my views. Number one, I just got to know that Christine is now in GSI. I've never known that he has moved up. So congratulations for that appointment. I'd like to say categorically that, thank you, that the next step for us in pharma is adopting the technology of track and trace. It's just the next step. Over the years, we have been discussing the issue of fake products, counterfeit and fakes, and NAFDAC have been battling this. I believe if we adopt this next step in technology, it will help us to curb the issue of counterfeiting, diversion of supply chain, shipping inaccuracy, and also it will help us to detect any defects in any of our products. Because most of the time, the product we get to the end users is defective. How do we trace it? Not possible. Traceability has been widely used in the courier and cargo industry, and it's successful. If you go on your platform and you watch some figures, you know where your luggage is. You know when they arrive, you know who is signing for it. And if that could be adopted into pharma space, it will help us a lot. With distributors, the manufacturers, it will help us. But I want to say that you ask the question, there are few issues that need to be solved for wide adoption. The issue number one is just the technology adoption. Gs1 has brought it. It's not very expensive, but we have poor adoption curve in pharma because our customers are not that lettered. So we need to take the message to them. Most of the big customers that we have now, apart from my dear friend Paula, that is high-tech, some of them are not high-tech. So we have to find a way, this type of webinar to be handled widely, so that more people will come on board to adopt this technology. Because pharma industry has started the serialization. Without serialization, there's no traceability. Because that's the first step. Without pregnancy, there is no baby. If product is not serialized, how are you going to get the baby? So most industries, most companies are now adopting the serialization. Yeah? Maybe 3D or 2D. Some are still on 3D. Some are on barcodes. It's all GSR. So once you adopt this, and everybody is on this, because what is working for us is that the retail outlets are now using technology to monitor their products. So it's very easy for us to piggyback on their technology. But the cost implication is why most manufacturers are running from. But it's not that steep. Then the second issue is that getting the software provider. GSI will provide the software. It's available. The second issue is our production system. How automated are they? If they're not automated, it slows us down. And once they are not automated, you see people moving away because they can easily ask the printer to print these things and forget about it. You need automation on the line. If it's not there, it will fail. Then you need data management. We need to manage the data, maybe in conjunction with NAFDAC or GSI or any other standalone. These are issues we need to solve as either manufacturer or distributor of our products.
Great, thank you very much, sir. That was very well said. I agree 100% that yes, one of the issues that may happen with pharmaceutical, especially local manufacturers, being able to adopt traceability is around how automated are their production lines. You know, what kind of sophistication are there on the production line to be able to afford to integrate traceability or serialization directly on the product packs on the line, which is one of the reasons why solution providers also exist to help out with the implementation of Gs1 standards. But just before we open up this conversation, because it's getting very interesting, and I'm sure folks in the audience also, you know, you're going to ask their own questions. But just before that, I just want to ask one more question for each of the panelists real quick before we move along. So let me just quickly go back to Mr. Kola. So Mr. Kola, from your experience, and thanks a lot for answering the question earlier, but from your experience, right, it would be great to know further, you know, aside the bottlenecks now, how do you think technology generally Because I can tell that you are very vast with the implementation of technology. But how do you think technology can further improve the distribution of quality medication, even to the most rural areas of Nigeria and other Anglophone countries in Africa?
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, the conversation is getting interesting, and I'm enjoying it as well. Thank you very much for putting this together. Check it. Yes, so when we talk about rural Nigeria, I think that's the focus of the question now. We know that about 70% of Nigerians live in the rural community. When we talk about rural community, let's not go into the interiors yet. We know that in Nigeria, in Lagos, some communities are classified as rural. Ikorodu, deep into Ekpe, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So the question is, what stops them from being effective in, being able to join the supply chain? What is happening in the city? What is the barricade? Number one is the lack of personnel. Usually, if we leave Lagos a little bit and we start going into the interiors, you find out the number of pharmacists keep reducing. You have majority pharmacists are in Lagos, pharmacists are in Abuja, pharmacists are in the major cities. But when you go into the rural areas, you really don't have pharmacists. You have more of, the other health workers that are trying to help, and so on and so forth. Another thing is infrastructure. How do you really get to those places? And those two things might be very, very big when it comes to pharma distribution in Nigeria. How have we mega medics have been able to cope with that? Number one is we have a platform. Technology is a solution. We have a platform where, anywhere you are in Nigeria, the people that are already registered with us, if you go to that platform, you see, all the products from Reels, you see products from Emzo directly. You can actually interact with these companies through us. So you know that you are getting those products. By aggregating all the pharma companies in Nigeria, most of them are already aggregated at backend, and also aggregating the, pharmacies into what we call the purchasing network. They are able to get, the service is uniform anywhere. We're able to service places as far as Taraba, for example, because as long as you can get on that system, the internet has made it a level playing ground for everybody. And as long as you can see what is there, you can order it and we will get it to you. So how does it get to this person, this individuals that are in the rural areas? Number one, the barrier of lack of personnel. How do we break it? I think one of the things that technology can also help to do is we'll try and incentivize pharmacists that are retiring. When medical personnel, when they retire, they don't leave the system. They are still involved. So if you're a pharmacist and you're retiring, part of what can be done, I'm just recommending certain things now as you're moving out of Lagos into those core interiors. You should be incentivized to be able to go to the rural places and set up a pharmacy there. All right. The other personnel that are not core pharmacists, they should be disincentivized from handling core proprietary medical products. Such that if you are a pharmacist and you are dealing with us, there is a way you can form an association with those people who are not core pharmacists to make sure that when they get prescriptions for core pharmaceuticals, they know they can get it from you. There's a referral system. Those are part of the things we are setting up with technology right now, so that no part of the country is disenfranchised when it comes to receiving quality products. Now, there are things that still need to be invested in, which is, the infrastructure and so on. But through the deployment of technology, which is simple as anywhere you are, you can see what is available, you can see the companies directly, you can click on the buttons, and we will take care of, the logistics. I think that is really, really, in Ikorodu, for example, we do 15%. In our year one, we did 15% of our business in Ikorodu and in the core areas of Badagry and so on. We found that because those places are what we call captive audiences, they can gather their orders into one, and we can make sure that they are getting their orders. When it gets there, they sort it amongst themselves. Just a comment before I leave. When we're talking of serialization is done in three ways, the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary. The primary packaging is not really, I'm sure that I can ask GSI, I'm not sure, but it's only in countries like USA and China that the primary packaging is been, I'm talking of the packet that is in direct contact with the tablet. The secondary packaging is really where the work is, which is that pack of artemether lumefantrine that you're going to buy in a pharmacy. Then don't forget that for mega distributors like us, we deal with the tertiary package. So there's serialization for that as well. Because we are not able to break the bulk all the time, it's been discussed in all circles now. How do we make sure that as it's moving down the line, if I get a carton now, how do I make sure that all the packs in it are serialized and not just, and all that? Where I suspect the problem could be for rural areas is this. There's most likely going to be the issue of trying to take a sachet, you want to sell in sachets and all that. I'm not sure whether those will be serialized. I don't think we will get to that. And now, after you have, serialized the packs, what we call pack, they call it cartons over there. Once you serialize the packs and somebody removes something out of it and still breaks it and still sells it, then you lose the whole essence of serialization. So I think I'm putting that as a challenge to GSI as well, considering the the uniqueness of our rural communities where they always like to buy sachets, just cut it for me and all that. How do we make sure that those are still traceable? Because all this data, just like you said, will have to go into the NAFDAC repository so that when you get to the pharmacy, it can be scanned and you can know that, oh, this is original, this is not original. And just like Fambupola said, we need to raise the awareness both amongst the healthcare professionals and even the grassroots so that they know that anything you get, you can find out whether it's original or not. And we've seen some track record in what we do with anti-malarials. I mean, you can scratch it and all that. Now we're talking of every single product that's coming into a population of over 200 million. So it's a lot of work. And I know that we have started with the support of everyone here. I know we can reach even the rural areas. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well said, sir. Thank you very much for that, for the several analogies as well that you put into your statement. Makes perfect sense. And yes, definitely to you asked a question, right? Which is sort of you actually asking the next question I was going to ask Madam Christine as well, which is really around, Madam Christine, how would we sort of involve all the stakeholders in serialization, especially in the implementation of serialization? When I say stakeholders, I'm not only referring to the manufacturers now, I'm referring to the retailers, the importers, the community pharmacists. How do we ensure that they are all carried along in the serialization process? Also, most importantly, they also being able to benefit or use one angle of the serialization or the other in their own processes. What is the vision beyond around implementation of this traceability strategy?
Very much, Dari. And thank you, Mr. Kola, for your comments and for your questions. The first thing I'd like to mention is that, first of all, Gs1 Standards, we have the global trade item number, which is used to identify SKUs that are for sale. And we have also the serial shipping container code, which is used to identify those items that are for transport and storage purposes that is like for shippers and for pallets. So the difference between the trade item number or GTIN and the serial shipping container code are the fact that the global trade item number is for items that can be sold, they can be invoiced, they're for sale. While the serial shipping container code is actually for larger packages that are just established for the purpose of transport and storage. So what usually happens in the manufacturing plant is that when a 2D data matrix is encoded with a global trade item number, batch number, expiry date, and a unique serial number is, of course, encoded to a barcode. The barcode is printed on the product, and also this information is in human readable interpretation beside the barcode. The next thing that we'll do that is ideally done is to make sure that we do a process that we call packing or aggregation. So what we usually do in this instance is that we scan the items into a carton, and then we produce a barcode that contains a serial shipping container code. So this serial shipping container code is linked to the global trade item numbers or to traceability information of the products that are inside this carton. So as the product is moving through the supply chain, in aggregates or cartons or shippers or pallets, what you'll be scanning, of course, for the purpose of efficiency, is that you'll be scanning the label that contains the barcode, that contains the serial shipping container code identification key. And this serial shipping code identification key is unique to each carton. It's not repeated on every 2 cartons. So as that carton is moving through the supply chain before it's unpacked, that is what you'll be scanning. So another thing I would like to mention also is that traceability is something that's actually done in a phased approach. Now, we leave manufacturers to determine for the time being whether they want to have this starting from primary packaging or whether they want to have it starting from secondary packaging. And what the regulator is likely to mandate is that traceability will start from secondary packaging for ease of the manufacturers. For ease of the manufacturers, very sorry about that. And that means that what you see happening in this situation is that it is not the primary pack that is in direct contact with the product that will have traceability features on it, but the secondary packaging. So let's say, for instance, you have a pack of artemethyl lumefantrine by 6s. What will have the 2D data matrix and the information beside it, or the traceability information beside it, it will be on the secondary pack. And normally what most countries do is that they work in this phased approach. So that it can make it easier for manufacturers to have traceability features and begin the traceability process. Because if you go more granular, which is to the primary packaging level, it is being done by some organizations, it is being done in some countries, but it's a more complicated process. And for us to get organization manufacturers used to implementing traceability, we wish to start from secondary packaging traceability. And then thereafter, when the regulator decides, because it is not Gs1, it's the regulator, they will decide whether companies will go more granular to primary packaging. We do understand the issues around of the fact that of course there's breaking of pharmaceutical packaging. If you have ampicloxar, of course, capsules, you have 10 sachets in a pack. Of course, we know we're dispensing 2 sachets to a patient at the retail point. But one thing we notice that if you want to start primary package traceability, that means you're going to put a 2D data matrix barcode and with containing a unique serial number, global trade item number, and lot number, and batch number, and expiry date on each single sachet. What we have actually realized now is that it's a bit complex from what we have discussed with the industry. That's a bit complex for them to do for the time being. So what most countries start with is that what we're doing is that we're actually following what we call global best practices in the implementation of traceability, which we've taken from Turkey, we have taken from Argentina, we've taken from England, and which is being closely followed by the traceability implementation strategy, which is being adopted in the United States. This is what we wish to follow, because we know that this is actually the easiest way to go. But we have also encouraged companies who do have the capability of doing primary pack traceability to do so, because we're making it much more difficult for counterfeiters to fake products and of course to upset the supply chain. What Gs1 as a global organization is very interested in doing is actually securing the supply chain against the influx of fake and substandard medications, to make sure that our supply chain is safe for all, and to make sure that manufacturers who are genuine, people that are actually interested in doing genuine business in Nigeria, who are interested in the Nigerian experiment of making sure that safe medicines reach the patient, are actually allowed to do legitimate business. And that is one of the reasons why we actually want to tie every scan to a location as products move through the supply chain, so that we can actually see the movement of medicines from the beginning of the supply chain till it gets to the point of dispense. And at any point in the supply chain, whoever is picking up that medicine can scan that product and authenticate where it is coming from to ensure that it is coming from the right source, whether it is from Rails or it's from GSK and from others, because we do not want fakers and counterfeiters to interfere with the businesses of legitimate business owners or pharmaceutical companies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Christine. Well said. So one of the major things I took away from that is that, you know, the innovation will get to the point where retailers and everyday consumers would also be able to verify the serialization or the 2D data matrix code on the packs, on the secondary pack, and actually use that to authenticate that yes, this is actually an original product. And before I ask my last question to Pastor Ade, you know, I just want to say that yes, this is definitely something that we are also a key part of. That's at Check-It Technologies. We're a very key part of product authentication and serialization. As a matter of fact, we do work with Gs1 Standards as well in implementing track and trace as well, right? And we definitely make it a lot easy for manufacturers to implement it on their production line or even with our sticker labels, right? So back to my question to Pastor Ade. So my last question is really around, you know, which is something that you already mentioned in your earlier comments. So we just want to go a bit deeper into that side, which is around the implementation of track and trace. You know, what for you would be the biggest pushback, right, or challenge with implementing or deploying traceability from you as a manufacturer standpoint, and you know, to enable other supply chain stakeholders be able to experience your codes, right? What exactly is that major pushback? What would be the challenge in implementing traceability for you? So you're on mute again. Let me please unmute so you can, yes, so we can hear you.
Exactly. I was enjoying I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you.
I was enjoying the education that was going on. Listening to Christine, you now see that it could be a challenge for local manufacturers to get on board if we cannot make it as easy to understand as possible. No doubt we are adopting, but the adoption is slow. Because number one, you have to look at the labeling design. The labeling design must conform with the type of machines that we're having. And most of the manufacturers, I'm talking from manufacturers in large, not one person. Most of the manufacturers are still using their old labeling machines. Some are still using hand labels, not on labels on reels. So it becomes a challenge getting them on board this as fast as possible, because it will affect their production efficiency. This, we need education, education and education. It's more than one contact education. It's continuous engagement. Just like we pharmaceutical industry have reps that visit our customers. GSI, you also have enough reps to visit customers and get them on board the technology. It will go a long way. Honestly, it will go a long way. We need that education to keep us moving forward. That's number one. Number two challenge is assembling a cross-functional team within the factory. Because it's not only the production guy, everybody is involved. It's a cross-functional issue. The production is involved. The person that will keep the data, you have to have an IT department. If you don't have an IT department, how can you have track and trace? Do you understand me? Your IT must key into it. And other department regulation is also a regulatory function. It could also be used as a commercial function, where you can use it to monitor what's going on at the back end, how the customer is reacting to you. Then the issue, which you say, oh, we manufacture, cost. GSI must look at traceability from the perspective of paracetamol syrup. I'm sorry I have to use it because paracetamol syrup or warm Espella, they are the cheapest of all the products in the market. Vitamin C syrup. You must be able to trace a vitamin C syrup, paracetamol tablet. You mentioned the issue of primary, secondary, and tertiary packaging. The batch details are on primary packaging. Go and buy any batch, any product today. You see the batch details there. The only thing is that you cannot put the 2D stickers on it, but you put it on the secondary packaging. The batch details are also there. And we could see how to help the manufacturers to reduce the sophistication. Let me use that word. Sophistication, I'm talking to Christine now. Because when sophistication is too high, you see people push back. And when you want to push back, you can be mentioning anything that will make you say, is the cost. Then lastly, in pharma, there's low technology backbone, which limits the type of technology you can deploy. It limits the type of technology you can deploy. And it's always affecting us. You remember when NAFDAC started implementing the mass authentication system? When they started, a lot of pushback. So now they have to engage us on several platforms where they now say, okay, let's start with anti-malaria. If it's successful with anti-malaria, we now move to antibiotics. Even to today, some people are still getting fined for not complying. And this is not difficult. This is just to stick it on the pack. They are still finding it difficult to comply, both local and imported products. So it needs continuous engagement. Continuous engagement. When this is done, and let us know the benefits. You know, in pharma marketing, you say sell the benefits, not the product. If you keep selling the product, we will not get the market. Thank you.
Great, awesome, sir. That's so well said. Thank you very much. That's a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom coming from our three speakers. We really, really appreciate everyone for participating. Really, really enjoy this. Just before we open up the questions to the rest of the audience, you know, in case you have questions, so you can start jotting down your question now or start writing them down. The panel will just take probably another 15 minutes before we wrap up fully, because we wanted to wrap up at the top of the hour, so we may be extending a little bit by 15 minutes. However, just before we take the questions from the audience, so audience, again, you can write down your questions now. I'm just going to go a bit deeper into what we do at Check It as around traceability and track and trace, and also with the mass labels as well, right? And how it can also be very easy to deploy for pharmaceutical manufacturers like Reals Pharmaceuticals and other manufacturers as well that could be online. So just to talk about it real quick, one of the major things that we do is we enable packaging to be serialized, right? So we see, I mean, of course, like you mentioned, the blisters are the primary packaging, right? And then you have the secondary packaging, which are your packs that you buy in the supermarket or in the pharmacies. And then you have this tertiary package, which is the carton. And then you have the pallets as well, right? Now, we provide traceability across all of this different packaging layers or packaging levels. And we've also been able to integrate with software platforms that manufacturers use most commonly on their production line, which is the SAP Advanced Track and Trace for Pharmaceuticals platform. So if you go on the SAP store, which I'm just going to do that now. If you go on the SAP store, let me switch my screen so you can see. Can you see my screen showing the SAP store? Or am I still on the deck?
So we can see your screen.
I can see your screen. Okay, great. So basically, so this is our page on the SAP store, right? I just want to walk you through the benefits because I can hear Pastor Ade mention about, you know, what exactly are the benefits of serialization and how can we sell this better to pharmaceutical businesses, manufacturers to better understand or even encourage the adoption of track and trace. So yes, we also started with the sticker labels, the mass labels, as you can see on this image behind here. And you can see this is on the primary package. However, we've also been able to enable traceability from the track and trace point of view, which is printing serialization, the 2D data matrix code or Gs1 QR code directly on the product pack, right? But mostly the data matrix code. Now, this would enable that, one, would to protect your products from being counterfeited and then help you win back market share. Secondly, our authentication allows consumers to also be engaged. So basically, consumers with the Check It app can verify the authenticity of their drugs, either on the secondary package or the primary package, by scanning the data matrix code, and then see that the product is authentic. They would also see the batch information, the expiry date information, description of where the product is coming from, so who is the manufacturer, who is the designated distributor, and then furthermore, the consumers are now able to answer brief survey questions, which is also how we help pharmaceutical brands learn more about, gain market insights about their consumers. So basically, you would see insights on, based on survey questions that you might want to ask. You might want to ask questions on where is the person buying from? Is the person buying from an open market or from a drugstore? Or is the person buying from, a certified pharmacy? You can also use that data to learn more about your consumers, which become more of a return on investment rather than an expense or a cost, as most manufacturers see it today. And then lastly, you're also able to track market diversions, just like Madam Christine mentioned earlier. We'll be able to show you an audit trail of where your product has been or where your product is being distributed to. So take, for instance, you manufacture products for the Ghana market, but you ended up seeing or getting information that your product is now available in Zimbabwe, where you didn't send it to originally. We can give you those information ahead of time based on leveraging the Gs1 platform or Gs1 integration on our platform. You'll be able to get insights on where your products are showing up, aside where it's originally designated for. So there's a bunch of stuff that we do, particularly around product authentication for end consumers. By default, on the Check It sticker labels, that's our mass labels today, for every 5 mass label that the consumer authenticates on the Check It platform, they get 100 Naira airtime free, right? So for every 5 sticker labels of Check It that is authenticated by a consumer, 100 Naira airtime is credited into their phone directly. And this is sponsored directly by Check It, right? Not necessarily by manufacturers. But we've also seen instances where the sticker labels have been used for certain promotional push for OTCs, right? So OTCs like a multivitamins, promotional push in the sense of, oh, you buy, scratch, and you win something. Sticker labels actually already communicates this by default, letting people know that you stand a chance of winning something every time you verify a Check It code. And like I mentioned earlier, you would then have access to, as the brand manufacturer or major distributor of that brand in Nigeria as an importer, you'd have access to showing, your brands, where people are scanning from, where people are authenticating from, what consumers are thinking about your products, what they're doing with your products, right? Be able to do all of this to enable this to apply to your service, and how you can apply these insights towards growing your business or growing your brand in the market with market intelligence. So this is just for me to give a brief overview of what we're doing at Check It and how the data intelligence that we help you gather can become insightful for your business, to grow your business in terms of sales, grow your business in terms of visibility, and of course grow your business in terms of winning back market share that may have been lost to counterfeit products. So I'm just going to pause there real quick and then go back, come back to the audience for questions. So if you have any question that you would like to ask some of the panelists, so please feel free to raise up your hand. You can use the hand raise feature at the base of the menu on Zoom to ask questions. And then we take the questions following a queue of those who are on the call. Okay, so yeah, we have a couple of people who have a couple of questions. So I'm going to start with, because I can't see your name, so I'm just going to start. I'm just going to say the lady, the picture of the lady in pink gown, because I can't see your name on your, so you can go first. You can unmute yourself and go first, please.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, good morning.
Please, how do we apply for this manufacturing checklist? I've seen that you have page on LinkedIn aside the website. I'm interested in joining the team.
Sorry, can you ask that question again? I didn't get the question.
I said, how do we apply for the checklist? I'm interested in joining the team. I've seen that you have page on LinkedIn aside the website, and I'm very fascinated with it.
You mean how do you apply to join the team? Also, that's not a problem.
Yes,
you can go to
yes.
the website. You can go to the website. We have the career section on the website, on the checkit.app website. And then you go there and apply for a role. So if you're hiring, you definitely be contacted once we review your application. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the next person. Ejiro.
Okay, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yeah, I love the topic today, talking about traceability. My question is, as a retail pharmacist, how can we actually trace the authenticity of products we get from wholesalers? Because like my company, we usually get from wholesalers, not the open market in the Dumota. So tell me more about that, because there were some instances we got some products from, I'm not going to name the products now, but the products were kind of different in terms of I couldn't really know which one is more authentic, because a customer brought the from our company, but those products were gotten from different wholesalers. So there were differences in the packaging. So I don't know how we can really trace this. Please help me with that. Thank you.
Great question. So I'll let Madam Christine. Do you want to take that?
Yes, I think I'll take it. What we actually aim to do in Nigeria, and this is what's actually been done in most of Europe. We have this point of verification system. Now, at the beginning of the supply chain, when the manufacturer actually commissions a product into existence, information about that product enters a central repository that is managed by the regulator of that country. So when at any point in the supply chain, when a product is to be to of course be bought or to be looked at or what have you, a retail pharmacist can take out their mobile phone and scan the barcode. When the barcode is scanned, because this is what we actually aim to do, the barcode searches for that product information or system searches that product information in the event repository that is managed by the regulator. So, so what happens is that if that information, if the product is the same, if the information on that product is the same as the information that was put into the repository by the manufacturer, it comes up with with information that the source of that product is correct, is an authentic product. If you scan and some other and that information that has been put into the repository by the manufacturer is not there, then an error message is flagged. That is a problem. So this is actually how traceability works in Europe. In Europe, usually what happens in Europe is that they're not even concerned about what happens at each point in the supply chain. But at the point of dispense to a patient, that the product is scanned. And then what happens is that they go to the event repository that is managed by the European Medicines Agency, and they search for that product. If that product is there, then of course the product is authenticated. If it's a fake product, it is not authenticated, and that is how you know. So what we aim to do in Nigeria is to do something like that. At any point in the supply chain where a pharmacist wants to actually check the authenticity of a product, they can do that with a simple scan. Thank you.
Great, well said, Madam Christine. Ejiro, I hope that answers your question. But just to add a bit to that, Ejiro, is that yes, we may not be there yet in Nigeria to be able to allow, easy authentication if these packages, these two different packages that you got, did not have traceability on them, and they don't have like a sticker label on them that you can use to verify the authenticity. But what Madam Christine is saying is very soon, we will be there such that retail pharmacies would be able to verify the authenticity of that secondary pack or tertiary pack that you're collecting against the central repository of the country. So you'll be able to know for sure if the products you're buying from the open market is actually registered in that country database, in Nigeria's database, or not. So which already tells you if that product is authentic or fake. Great. So next question will be for Caleb. Caleb, please, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Oh, mic check. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. And wonderful presentation, Mr. Kola, Madam Christine, Mr. Dare, and Fan Popola. I really enjoyed the presentation, and it's a learning process for me. So I have like a bit of personal question because this really touched home. About some years ago, about 40 kids died in Nigeria, about northern part of Nigeria, because of taking counterfeit teething products. And it was said also, Mr. Kola said about 200,000 people die annually of taking anti-counterfeit or substandard products. And about 5 years ago, I lost a close friend of mine because she took anti-counterfeit products, fake medication in Nigeria. So before the year 2025, what are the necessary things that are put in place that will help people to actually confirm or authenticate the product they are buying from a store that is genuine? Because we can't keep losing people before we adopted this serialization, which is going to help us trace product from plant to manufacturer. So my question would be, what are the necessary things that are also put in place for now before year 2025?
Thank you very much for that, Caleb. I think I'll push that question to Fan Popola to give us some insights around what they are doing to make sure that their products can be identified as original in the market. Sir, you're mute again, sir.
No, thank you very much for that question. No doubt, you cannot have 100% safe products. No doubt. Some will still escape the screening. But currently, the first step that NAFDAC did is NAFDAC number, which you can easily check if this product is registered or not. The second one, we've started to have 3D, which you can also use to cross-check. But the most important is the source of your purchase. If you are not purchasing from the right source, you are likely to end up with a fake product. That's why the online pharmacy is a good source of product. Some pharmacy outlets are good source of getting your product. Don't just go to any medicine store and believe that you're having the best because they give you a cheaper product. Once a product is cheaper than the original, you should get it, start to suspect it. But basically, because we are still very low in technology, the only two products now have mass authentication sticker, which once you buy the product, unfortunately, less than 10% of people are checking those stickers. Once you buy the product, just scratch it and send to that short code, send message to that short code. It will return back to you that this is genuine or not genuine. Those are for two products: antibiotics, anti-malaria. Hopefully, some other companies have started putting it on other products just to protect their brand image and also their company investment in marketing. So look out for stickers that are mass, we call it mass authentication stickers. Once you have it, you put it on they put it on the brand, you scratch it. Most of us, we are too busy. We don't bother. I think it's been shown. Once you scratch it, it will reveal a code to you. Send message to that code. You will get a reply within less than 1 minute, if I'm not wrong. You get a reply that the product is genuine or not. That is being done. And I think NAFDAC will expand this, but like I said, some companies already put it in most of their products. Once you buy a product, make sure you check with this mass authentication sticker.
Yes, thank you very much for that, sir. Yes, once you buy a product, make sure you check it. One last statement, Mr. Kola. I don't know if you want to add anything to that as well.
Well, Fan Popola has said it all. The mass authentication, I think it started in 2011, and and it's been some time now. I mean, it's close to 10 years in Nigeria, and just like he said, it's unfortunate that many people don't even take the time to scratch that thing. I know I was opportune to be part of the committee, or the group of people that worked on the what do we call it now? When we wanted to launch the product, really, I was in GSK then. So we had to, do some exercises to even test it, random testing and all that. And we're so happy that, oh wow, this technology is here now. But when we now found out that when it got to the hands of the patients, they were not doing the needful, it was a very, very sad realization for us. So education, just like Pharmaceuticals said, we need to educate not just the HCPs, we also need to educate the patients. Back to Caleb, it's unfortunate that those things happened. But just like Pharmaceuticals said, we might not be able to get it right 100%. We're on a journey. Please encourage your friends, encourage people that everybody takes pharmaceuticals. It's everybody's business. Encourage them to go to stores that they can vouch for. And when you go to a store that you can vouch for, and you are working into a store that has a pharmacist, the possibility of getting such substandard and fake products is really, really reduced. And to the lady that I think it was Ejiro that asked about they got a product from another wholesaler. Yeah, so there is a new thing in town now. When you go, companies like Mega Medex and so on and so forth, you can actually, every Reels product, if you go to our website now, you can see that Reels products are already aggregated on our backend. So you know that whenever you're getting Reels products, we are getting it directly from Reels. So it's about know where you are buying from. If you've been disappointed with a particular wholesaler, don't give up. Begin to look for the new generation wholesalers that are tech driven. And I think there are some examples of them. So those are my comments. I think it's a journey, and it's going to start, and it's going to be exciting to see that we begin to reduce the incidence of fake and counterfeit products in Nigeria from the 16% that's been recorded now. We're not going to go to zero all of a sudden. The counterfeiting business globally is $10 billion. So it's a very big cartel, not just in Nigeria, everywhere in the world you go. And but what makes it worse for a country like Nigeria is that we have issues with government, leadership, infrastructure, manpower. So all those things are aggravated together with lack of education. So poverty. So it makes it look very, very big. But it happens almost everywhere in the world. But we're on a journey. And I must say I've been very impressed with NAFDAC. NAFDAC is really doing a lot. I think I've been able to see the progress over the years. I mean, some years back, the counterfeit products in Nigeria was said to be about 40-something%. Very, very alarming. But by the use of these different things, mass authentication, also, we've been able to bring it down. I hope that very soon when we have this kind of meeting again, we're going to see that it has reduced to single digit and gradually will be. But it's just like Pharmaceuticals said, and as Christine said, it involves everybody, not just the pharmacist, even the population. Thank you very much.
100%, 100%. Thank you very much for that, sir, as well. I mean, I just want to say, just before we go to the next person, I want to say one of the reasons why we started Check It as well was majorly because we discovered that less than 10% of those mass labels out there gets authenticated, which is why we then, came with a mechanism that the sticker labels itself already states scratch, verify, and win. And then secondly, for every 5 labels that a consumer verifies, they get 100 Naira airtime free from Check It, right? And we've seen that this works because we've seen, when we first launched this, we saw over 60% authentication rates, which is unprecedented by any other company in this space. So it's very interesting to see how that is even scaling forward now that we've been in the market for more than 3 years. But yes, it's very interesting to hear, and also great to know that these are problems that we are all experiencing. So understanding that these are problems that we all have to come together to solve, right? So the pharmaceutical supply chain has to be a closed loop, and technology can help us drive it into that. So the next person I have here, the person's name says Anu, but I don't think the person is Anu. But if you have your hand raised up and your name is Anu, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
I am not Anu. I am pharmacist Samira Abubakar Umar.
Nice to meet you,
from Kaduna. Yes. I have been practicing retail pharmacy practice for almost 30 years now. And I have one or two distributors. I have never had problem of saying these medicines are fake or counterfeit because I rely on the distributor. Why did I pick that distributor? Was because all the pharmaceutical companies coming to the north, the now distributor is their main distributor in the town. So I go there because I know everybody comes to Uplift, Reels, Fitsin, and Anko. So we are sure of what we are getting. Even with the arrival of the mask from by NAFDAC 2011, when it newly came, it was functioning. Then we had problem that the cyber people were coming from Ghana, so it failed some time. When you even get it reliably from the distributor, you know it's coming from the company. After scratching, you now the message the client would see that it's not original. Meanwhile, it is original. I think there was mixed up somewhere else. But with the new innovation now, we are going to see the trace and tracking, tracing. I think the authenticity of medicines will be high, because the reason why we are having also the open market, we don't get medicines from the reliable distributors. You don't see any counterfeit or whatever. It is from all these open markets around. If the government should create the coordinated wholesale centers they wanted to do, so that they will now close up all these open markets, then I think we'll get it right. Then how can we handle the orphan drugs imported? Because there are certain drugs that not all people use them, but we need them. They are called orphan medicines. Those orphan medicines, maybe they are few in number. An importer will import them into the country. When we are discussing with NAFDAC, NAFDAC now said it is the sole responsibility of the importer now to know and give them the authenticity of those medicines they are importing, because nobody has the rights, because they import those few things, maybe for oncology purposes, maybe for some serious sicknesses that only few individuals take. So these orphan drugs are the ones we don't know, because they don't have NAFDAC number. They come with the other FDA, DA numbers that the country, in fact, some of them are not even in English. They come in some languages that we don't know. And some clients are on prescription. What do we do? Because they don't, even if they have their own mask, but because the cyber, whatever is not around, how do we even detect whether it's original or it's fake? Thank you, and I wish us the best.
Thank you very much, Madam. That's also a very extensive conversation. But then, Madam Christian, do you want to make any comments?
Okay, let me actually start from the last point. Now, for any country where one thing about orphan drugs, they are actually being brought in by certain legitimate importers for the purpose of course, taking care of disease conditions that are not very common. Of course, there are actually some companies that do bring them in that we do actually expect that most pharmacists should know. One thing that the global traceability journey is trying to do is to make sure that wherever a product is in the supply chain, you can actually authenticate the source, where it actually is coming from. So if it was a product that was maybe made in India, or made in China, or made in Turkey, or made in the US, then the existence of that product is supposed to be registered in the national databases of those countries. And what that is supposed to be able to do is that if we have track and trace traceability features on the product pack, when you scan that barcode, you can actually authenticate that it's an authentic product. So we actually have traceability regulations in 66 countries of the world now. And it's actually for reasons like this, where for some instance, products cross borders, products are actually necessarily needed for certain conditions like oncology or some autoimmune diseases or stuff like that, that they're orphan drugs. And many companies don't really see why they should invest in having it in Nigeria full time. That is where traceability can come in to help. Another thing about medicines again is that when we take a look at bringing in products from of course authentic distributors, obviously that thing is extremely key even for pharmacists. Open market is a problem because they do a lot of mixing of drugs. We know that one is very well known. They can pick from a company and mix it with fakes, and people that go there, they can buy the original, they can buy the counterfeit. This is something that is very well known. It has worked in a place where I've worked before. It has happened in a place where I've worked before. But the most important thing about orphan drugs is for us to, what we're doing in Gs1 is that we're actually working to have traceability implementation in many countries to ensure that if there's a need for a pharmacy to authenticate a medicine that they want to purchase, they can authenticate that it is coming from the right place. It is not a journey that of course we complete by next year, but it's something that we want to actually have, of course, have operating worldwide to secure our supply chains. So I think that's what I will answer for that for now. Thank you, Mark. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Madam Christine. I see that there are also similar questions in the chat. So a similar question, which is how can we track and trace orphan drugs imported into the country? So this is similar to what Madam Christine just answered. And the second question is, how do we apply this to other manufacturing sector, like manufacturing for exports? Yes, I think this is also something that Madam Christine and Pharmaceuticals has also touched on, as well as Mr. Kolawole. So I think we can take one more question. So one last question from John. And I think, Ejiro, do you want to say something or you want to ask another question?
I want to ask another question.
Okay, so you can just go first real quick so that before John goes.
Okay. My last question is I have a problem. The problem is maybe some prescribers or physicians prescribe a particular medication with let's say generic. They want a generic product, and so maybe the owner of the prescription walks into the pharmacy and the generic is not available, and maybe you present the non-generic. I think we should understand, or we should allow the physician or the prescriber should understand that every of these products are bioequivalent. And I don't understand the situation in Nigeria whereby the prescriber will say, I mean this particular brand. If you don't give me your medicine, for example, let me give that. Don't give my patient another brand. They insist on that. What if the patient is dying? I had a case yesterday, a patient walked in and was looking for Xanax. So I asked him a very simple question. So where have you been going all this while? Have you seen? He said he had gone more than 10 pharmacies that I couldn't get it.
Ejiro, your mic, I don't know, we can't hear you anymore. Looks like we just lost Ejiro's connection there.
Know that in the pharmacy, yeah. So
go ahead. We lost you for some 30 seconds.
Sorry?
You can continue. So we lost you for about 30 seconds, but you can continue.
I know, I'm giving an instance, an example, sorry. So,
right.
I'm referring to Zina. So, but in this case, the patient has been moving around and the patient is dying. You get it? So this patient aware that if they can't get this brand, at least maybe they should just give generic and non help? Because some patients, they feel that that particular brand you are giving out or is actually the authentic product, because we are still checking authenticity of product. Give me, I want to talk about that too.
Thank you very much, Ejiro. I mean, that sounds more like a very regulatory question, or a question more for regulators. But because unfortunately we don't have any regulator in the room today. We definitely will in future webinars. But I don't know, from our, Obola, do you want to take that? Or Mr. Kolale? Anyone? Madam Christine? Do you want to speak on that?
I think this is a very, very common problem. Why? Because in Nigeria, we do brands. We believe in brands a lot. Some of the brands you mentioned have been in the market for 20, 30 years. If you go outside Nigeria, people don't look for those brands. If you go to Ghana there, they are not looking for those brands. They will just get the generics. Why? Because the generic market there is very organized. It's very regulated, and you can trust whatever you are getting from there. But here in Nigeria, people have this idea that if it's not the brand, just look at the shirt you wear. Want to wear Polo, want to wear Ralph Lauren, want to wear, we are just brand people, and that's the way we think. So what I would say is that you counsel the patient. That's the reality of the patient. So you try and move him from where he is to where you want him to be, and try and get him to understand. Some will not even agree with you, but at least let them know I'm a pharmacist. There's something we call bioequivalence. If you take this for NAFDAC to have licensed this, that means it has passed through the test that this other brand has passed through. And the reality is that if something has been a brand for so long, globally, there's a practice where after some time they will allow other companies to produce that same with the same quality as well. So it's about education, right, Joe? Thank you.
Yeah, well said, sir. Madam Christian, do you have anything to add? You want to add anything?
Well, just one sentence. What Mr. Kola said was absolutely correct. And it's obviously because of the kind of market we're in, and obviously because of the fact that doctors, there's some physicians, of course, they have preconceived ideas about what's genuine and what is not. Obviously, these are some of the things that are seen commonly enough in practice. But what I do actually expect physicians to understand, and I'll say it anyway, is that where there are very, very, very many reasons why a product might not be available. If a patient has checked in 10 pharmacies in a town and the product is not available in any of them, maybe there's an issue of scarcity. And the physician should be able to make do with whatever authentic generic product is available. Thank you.
Great. Well said, Ma. Thank you very much for that. I think this topic is actually a very sensitive one in terms of, someone being prescribed the drug, a particular brand by the doctor. So I think it's just basically how we are wired oftentimes. So it's going to take a while but it really requires counseling to get people to understand that, yes, generic and the brand are also the same thing. It's especially in the active ingredients. The major thing is to get well after taking the pill and make sure that the pill is actually quality pill that can be verified. So one last question is all we can take because we're already out of time. And thank you everyone for staying along with us for this long. So John, do you want to go with your question real quick?
Yes, thank you very much, Darren.
All right.
Thank you to the panelists. This session has been a game changer. I've learned quite a lot, Mr. Kolawole, Mr. Bola, and Madam Christine, and Mr. Dari. It's been an awesome session. So my question basically is, we're really good in implementing laws and regulations in Nigeria, but enforcing it is where the challenge lies at times. So while I understand that NAFDAC has its role and other regulatory body in enforcing that companies, especially manufacturers, have these labels in their products, on their products, I want to know if manufacturers themselves, probably they have sort of like an association, are also mandating their members to have these labels on their product, because there's only so much the regulatory bodies can do. So what exactly are the manufacturers and the community pharmacies doing in their own various associations to ensure that these other companies, manufacturers that do not have this labels, these mass labels on their products are probably isolated or sanctioned. What exactly are they doing? And the second question will probably be for Madam Christine. The serialization and the traceability solution, I would like to know if it's compatible with existing system. So for manufacturers that already have an existing operation management solution, is the solution compatible with existing systems? And also, what is the level of aggregation that the solution can handle? Thank you very much.
Okay, John, thank you very much for that. So I think the first question is more directed towards distribution and mandating traceability or say sticker label features. So I think Mr. Kola can take that question. And the second part of the question can go to Madam Christine.
Okay, I will try and answer this to the best of my ability. I think you directed it to the manufacturer, but this is what I have researched across the world. As a matter of fact, if a manufacturer does not align with the serialization and traceability standards, because it's not a global thing. I mean, the world's a global village. There's nothing like, oh, Nigeria is different. No. Everything happens at the same time globally now. All right. So Nigeria, so the 25 countries in Africa have come together and they have signed a pact. And Nigeria said, as far as we are concerned, by 2024, this will happen. So there's a whole lot going at the background. Pharmaceuticals has told us that they are already been engaged. I mean, the manufacturers, and he has told us that one of the one of the things that is holding this thing back from being completely implemented is probably costs. You asked whether it was compatible. From my own research, I think there would need to be an upgrade in technology for manufacturers that don't really have that level of IT. Yeah, even their manufacturing plants, some kind of devices have to be introduced to make it compatible. But then that's why we have Gs1, that's why we have Check It Technologies. And whether the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria will come together and start sanctioning or what have you, I don't think that will happen. I think what's likely to happen is for NAFDAC to start restricting the distribution of certain products. If you don't have this by so, this will not happen. And just like they started with anti-malarials, then they followed with antibiotics. It's possible that serialization will come in batches like that. But one thing I do know for sure is that if you as a manufacturer, if you don't have the serialization standard being implemented in your, in fact, it's part of GMP now, global manufacturing practice is part of it now. For most countries, 80% of countries globally have adopted it already. If you don't have it, you will not be able to export your products to certain markets that have adopted it. So that's enough sanction. But if somebody's a local player in Nigeria and thinks, well, I can't export, there's no problem, I'll just keep circulating my products in Nigeria. Consumers don't even know about this serialization. Time is going to catch up with everybody, because I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of awareness raising, not just amongst HCPs alone, but even amongst the patients, to the extent to it that they would tell the patients, please check. If you don't see this, please don't buy this product. So the system will auto check itself. So that's from my own experience in the pharma industry. I think that's what's likely to play out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That's really clear. Yes, I think it's only a matter of time. The system will check itself. Madam Christine, you want to take the second part of that question? John, do you want to reiterate that question again?
Yeah, sure. So I wanted to know if the serialization and traceability solution is compatible with existing systems, and also how many levels of aggregation can the solution handle?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, let me start from the back to the front. Now, the truth of the matter is that, or let me start from the front. Now, Gs1 standards. We actually have three sets. We have identify, capture, and share standards. So all three of them together become traceability. They're actually compatible with several ERP systems. ERP systems are usually used for inventory management, so it's compatible with SAP, it's compatible with Navision, Odoo, Sage, and others. So it's actually our standards are actually compatible with commonly used ERP systems. Another thing I also want to mention is that our standards support several layers of aggregation. I think it's even up to 10 levels, but usually 10 levels don't usually exist. Usually our layers of aggregation usually stop at the maximum of 3 or 4. So our standards are able to handle all those. One thing that we're working on now is that we're working, of course, we've done what we call public sector pilots. These are pilots that we did to track products, to track COVID-19 vaccines from the point of entry into Nigeria to healthcare facilities through zonal and state and local government. We've done that pilot, but obviously we know that the private sector is different from the public sector. So what we're doing now is that we're actually working with a few private private sector organizations to even implement pilots in the private sector using some well-known organizations. So what we're doing is we're going to run from point of manufacturer or point of import or point of manufacturer outside Nigeria, inside Nigeria, from there to distributors to wholesalers and to retail pharmacists. So the truth of the matter is that our standards do work with ERP systems. They work with well-known, well-used technology systems. Are actually used very extensively in inventory management and in point of sales. So wherever you might see, if you're going to ShopRite and they're scanning a barcode, it's likely to be from us. And using our global trade item number to identify the product. So we use it very strongly in inventory management. Our standards are actually used very strongly there, and traceability. They work with several ERP systems. We do support aggregation up to the 10th level where it is necessary. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that clear statement as well, Madam Christine. I think we would end it there today. Just briefly before we end, before we take our closing remarks, I'm just going to play a quick short video for us, just to sort of relax our nerves. And after that video, we'll take the closing remark. Well, thank you everyone for being a part of this conversation so far.
A lot of you might think you can identify a fake product from a real one when you see it. Truth is, you can't. Fake products have evolved over the years to now look exactly like the real ones. For example, a fake malaria drug and the real one look exactly the same. Same look, same feel. Are you going to leave something this important to chance? Risk taking the fake one and worsening your condition? Check It App erases that doubt. When you find a Check It secured product, look out for a label on it. Simply scratch the silver panel to reveal a QR code and a PIN. Now open Check It app and tap Verify Product. You can either scan the QR code or input the PIN on the app to see if the product is fake, original, or even expired. For every 5 Check It secured products you verify, you receive 100 Naira airtime, absolutely free. A tip for doing the right thing. Check It works with the legitimate manufacturers of these products to make sure your safety is 100% guaranteed.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of this panel session. It's been awesome having everyone, and thank you very much for our panelists, Madam Christine, Pharmacist Popola, and Mr. Kolawole. Thank you very much to you all for participating as well and being, active in this panel today. And also thank you for everyone that asked questions, gave us your comments, really, really appreciate that. We're definitely going to be doing more of this. So we'll be definitely seeing more Check It inspired webinars, particularly with key stakeholders like manufacturers in the pharmaceutical space, regulators like NAFDAC, as well as standard organizations like Gs1. So thank you very much, everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your day and have a lovely afternoon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Christine.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.